Hey, what's going on, everybody? Don Martino here again from Extract Media. Today we're going to talk about the premiere of The Bad Batch Season 3. I'm very excited to get into this with all of you. Going to start with some non-spoiler thoughts on the first 3 episodes, and those episodes are Confined, which is directed by Brad Rao and Saul Ruiz. Episode 2 is called Paths Unknown, which is directed by Brad Rao and Nathaniel Villanueva, and then episode 3 is Shadow of Tantuss, which is directed by Brad Rao and Stuart Lee. So quick non-spoiler thoughts on the episodes. This show is doing what the last 2 seasons haven't done, which is slowing down and focusing in on character, especially in that first episode entitled Confined. I thought it did a great job focusing on where Omega is now and just kind of giving more development on that. It was pretty incredible to see. I really love character-driven stories, and this one was definitely doing that. I mean, the second episode you can kind of say is a side quest, but I didn't mind it as much as other side quests in the show in the past, because this one still has that driving force of getting Omega out of imprisonment from the Empire. It was kind of taking inspiration from the earlier seasons of The Mandalorian in that sense. Without a driving force kind of lingering, I don't know how well episode 2 would have played for me. Like I said, we had side quests in the past 2 seasons and they didn't play for me nearly as well because there wasn't this sort of driving force, or the stakes weren't very high, and in this season the stakes always do feel high. And then episode 3 was like, wow. I mean, we had incredible action in it. It was very suspenseful. It played more like a thriller, but it also gave information about the larger Star Wars world. Some questions may have been answered. We'll see. I'm going to kind of talk about that when I get into spoilers a little bit more here in a bit, but loved the 3rd episode, and it definitely still just kind of keeps the story going, and it doesn't end in a place that makes me feel like, oh, there's no reason to watch the rest of the season now. It really did end in a way that was like, wow, the rest of the season is going to be pretty fun. I can't wait to watch the other episodes. I can kind of see how they're going to fill in time and then still keep that driving force of the narrative behind it. Even if the quests feel like side quests sometimes, I think they're going to continue to make it compelling just by having that sort of driving force in the narrative, and that's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything else. Right here, I am going to talk some spoilers, so you have been warned. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't seen the episodes yet, you might want to tune out now. Go watch the episodes, come back and check out the spoiler section of this video. So yeah, right in episode 1, I mean, Omega is trying to figure out her escape plan, and I love how they set up the relationship that her and Crosshair have had. We do get a time jump. I love how this is shown visually through Omega's hair. It shows that her and Crosshair just developed a relationship that I quite loved, by the way. I thought that played immediately very well. It was great to see these two back together in this capacity. She's gonna try to get them both out of there. She doesn't know how she's gonna do it, but openings kind of start to happen in the later episode. But talking about Paths Unknown, that episode I did feel like it was a side quest, but we got to see 2 characters that we haven't seen since the first season. That's Roland and Issa. It was great to see them back. It kind of made sense to connect that back for this episode. The Bad Batch are doing a mission for them to gain some intel, and I like that the mission, the side quest that they go on, is just all kind of part of the journey, right? Like, it does feel like the stakes are never lost because they are still going after Omega, and so you still have that driving force even though we're on a side quest. But it wraps up really nicely, and I actually found myself thoroughly enjoying it. Like, I did enjoy Hunter kind of sending these kids to Pabu at the end. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it's kind of wrapping in another element from the 2nd season that, again, you might not have felt was too important, but does become very much important here. But the juicy one's obviously the 3rd episode, and this is where we get a lot more about what's going on Mount Tantuss, and we learn more about Project Necromancer, sort of. Now, one of the things I've heard about is that Omega is maybe a distant cousin of Rey's, for example, because like they do talk about M counts a lot in here, and they're obviously doing a lot of cloning, and it does make me question, like, okay, so who was Rey's father? And one of the things that I found to be a little irritating about this episode, just as a personal nitpick as a fan, and again, I think the episode was well crafted. I'm not gonna like diss the craft of this episode. I thought it was very well done, but Palpatine comes and he meets Dr. Hemlock, right? Which, by the way, Jimmy Simpson as Hemlock in this season has been amazing, and he has so sold me on Hemlock as a villain in this, and he has become one of my favorite villains, 100%.
Secure her in a cell.
Palpatine visits Hemlock to see the progress on Project Necromancer, and so he shows it to him in this very, very secured room. And Palpatine looks in this tank, and they never show what's inside the tank, and I find that to be kind of irritating, but I can kind of see why they want to keep it open-ended at the same time. I mean, I got to assume that Palpatine is looking at a clone of himself, right? And this is all a part of his overall contingency plan. But on the other hand, is he looking at a Snoke model? Is he looking at his own son, right? That will eventually produce Rey, and we don't know any of that yet, and it's kind of interesting. But we do know that this does finally answer the question that was asked in the sequels.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Because now we do know that this is very important for the security of the future of the Empire, right? Like, I love that that was mentioned here, and it's finally all coming together. I actually think this episode was huge for Star Wars. Even on top of that, I was super invested in the escape plan. I really did enjoy the way that Omega got out. Having the Emperor on Mount Tantuss while her and Crosshair are trying to escape did add this like extra layer of stakes to the episode, right? Most importantly, though, Ian McDiarmid is back to voice Palpatine. He does a great job. Whatever they're doing with the sound design on his voice here is fantastic.
There is nothing of greater importance to secure the future of this empire.
Again, these episodes were just crafted so well. The animation is great. The score is a huge standout in this season. And of course, this score was done by Kevin Kiner, who I think is just killing it in Star Wars right now. He's probably my favorite composer outside of John Williams for Star Wars. I'm really enjoying everything he's doing for it. Between this, Ahsoka, what he's done in the Clone Wars and in Rebels, and I guess for this show, it's like the entire Kiner family works on the score. How cool is that? And I thought they just did a great job and knocked it right out of the park. Anyway, guys, those are my quick thoughts on the Bad Batch Season 3, Episodes 1 through 3. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I would really like to know what you guys thought of the episodes as well. I'll be doing further thoughts, more of a spoiler discussion on Movie Mornings with Jose Espinel and our Sup with Star Wars segment, so be sure to tune into that. We'll be talking in-depth spoilers. We'll be going into it a lot more, so that'll probably happen on Friday if I had to guess, so you guys should check that out for sure. Once again, I am Don Martino. Before I get out of here, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. It helps you not only not miss out on future content, but it helps us as well, so thank you for that if you did that. And once again, I'm Don Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.